Stay tuned to the end of the video where we're going to announce our Vanguard giveaway. Hi, this is JP Morgan. Today on the Slanted Lens, we're going to take you into a preschool and give you some tips on how to photograph children. We're going to show you how to get into their world, to be able to move quickly. We're going to show you how to combine the natural light of the room, kind of the ambient light of the room, with a nice highlight from a strobe. But most importantly, we want to be able to move quick and be able to get into their world and get some great shots of kids. So let's get started and see what we can do. This ought to be really easy. There are several things that I've learned over the years about photographing children. The first is schedule. You know, we're going to be photographing all the different ages today, so it's important that we fit our schedule to their schedule. We want to shoot at the times that are best for the kids and not that are best for us. So we're going to want to shoot them after their naps, after they've eaten, those times that are key for the different age groups. Be patient. Know that it's going to be hard and it's going to take time. Don't get frustrated in that. Just keep your cool. When things aren't working, just laugh and just keep shooting. Eventually that tide's going to change almost as fast as it started. If you're patient and you just keep shooting, then eventually things are going to start to happen. So be persistent. Just keep shooting over and over again. Encourage them to back into the place you want them in. Talk to them. Encourage them to be where you want them to stand. Do whatever's necessary to get them into the place, to get the shot you want. You can't shoot a bunch of images looking down on them all the time. Getting down on their level will help you get a much nicer shot. I love to show them the images while I'm shooting. Hey, look at this. They'll crawl all over you. They'll be so excited. Yeah, I'll do it, I'll do it. It keeps the energy up. You show them the images, let them be a part of the experience. You've got to interact with them. You know, they need to know that you're there. Talk to them, joke with them. You can't just hide behind your camera. The minute you start hiding behind your camera, you're no longer a person, you disappear. You got to keep talking to them, keep them engaged with you so that they know you're there and you're interested in what's going on. Their attention span is short, so you got to keep things changing and moving all the time to keep them engaged and excited. Bribe your subject. Not with candy and sweets, but with opportunities. Things like, well, if you'll let me take a few more pictures of you, I'll let you wear my hat. Look right here for a couple seconds while I take your photo. Then you can take my photo. Bribe them with things they get to do that empower them, make them feel excited. Okay, only with my only kids, but I have given them candy and toys when I'm really desperate. You know, it's not a bad idea to buy a small bag of cheap dentist toys. Remember, their attention span is very short, so you can't make them work for an hour before they get to grab something out of the bag. A few shots and a grab, and then they'll do a few more, and then maybe look again. Let them take a toy out of the bag if they sit and do what you want them to for a couple of seconds. Shoot when they don't think you're shooting. I do this with adults as well as kids. So I can hold the camera out to the side and I just keep shooting. Click, 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 and I'm talking to them while I'm clicking away. Or I put it on a tripod so it's framed up on them and I stand on the side as if I'm not doing anything and I'm clicking away. I use a lot of autofocus because of this. I want to keep it in focus. Let it be spontaneous. Let them get excited, get out of control a little bit. I love to get a few kids together, just kind of push them together and ask them to hug each other and kind of roll around on the floor together and then shoot away. You know, there is so much energy in that. They may be out of focus a bit or rolling around, but just shoot away. You'll get some great images. To keep it spontaneous, so you've got to shoot fast. You got to be ready. If you have to, put it on P so it all just shoots for itself if you don't have strobes going. Keep looking and changing, obviously, to get caught up if you're a little behind with exposure or what have you. It's more important. You can fix it later in Photoshop if you need to, but just get something shot when there's something happening. I can't tell you how many great moments I've lost because I'm laughing at what the kids said. Photograph when those moments happen. That's when it's the funniest. They're saying funny things, they're doing funny things. Just keep shooting, shooting, shooting. You cannot shoot enough. There's an old National Geographic saying that you can tell how good a photographer is by the size of his trash can. Well, that was in the days of slides. So nowadays, there's just no excuse. A lot of images are going to be out of focus or poorly framed, but just keep shooting, keep working it. Sometimes those yield the best images, the best moments after we think it's totally over. When we're shooting for commercial application, we can't have logos on the shirts like SpongeBob SquarePants. No, we've got to have clean, colorful, nice looking shirts. So we go down to Target, we get a bunch of cheap shirts, and Jalene's standing there with a clothing rack, shirts on hangers, and she just pulls them over top of the shirt that the child already has on. That gives us a nice clean look, gives us some nice colors that match the things that are going on in the room or the color scheme we want for the logo or for the client. It's not even a bad idea when you're shooting a portrait to bring a few extra shirts so you can slip somebody into a t-shirt or a collared shirt, and that gives them something to wear when they just didn't quite bring the right thing. Especially for kids, this is important because kids spill something on their shirt or they drool or it's just easier to throw them into a new shirt and keep on going. I know there's Photoshop, but there's also an extra shirt. Bring a few simple props that either relate to the shoot that you're doing or they're just interesting, fun things. Sometimes that just changes the look of the whole image. Even me, when I start feeling visually kind of exhausted, I can't think of anything, nothing's happening, stick a hat on the kid or put something in their hand, and all of a sudden I can see something visually completely different I can go after. So bring something that they're going to relate to, that's kind of fun, that you can pull it out when you're going, I need their attention now. There's those great toys I see at shows. They have a little stuffed animal that goes around the lens of your camera. You can't have it on there all day, or pretty soon they're bored with it, but get it in and off, and it really makes it interesting. Now let's turn our attention to how we lit the images. I use a simple process that looks a lot like window light, but makes it fast for me to move around and gives me that nice kind of window light anywhere in the room I want to shoot. I wanted the ability to move quick, so I took a Dynalite power pack, attached it to a stand with a travel head. The pack was plugged into the XP800 battery pack, and that I tied to the stand. That really acted as weight for the stand, just like a sandbag would. So I've got my strobe head, my power pack, and my battery pack all on one stand. My assistant's going to carry that around the room, powering the pack up and down to give me the right exposure. So it makes it a very quick way to move and to shoot. I love the look of that 72-inch shoot-through umbrella by Photoflex. It works perfect with that Dynalite MH2050 head. That's their travel head. That head has a very large throw, so it fills that entire 72-inch umbrella up. It really gives a nice light because it fills so much of that umbrella. Here's our shot with just the room light. It's boring, it lacks punch. I could bring the exposure up a little bit and make it a little better, but it's just gonna feel like room light. It needs a better direction to the light, something more interesting. I'm exposing for the room light as kind of my basic exposure. I'm on the Tamron 70 to 200 millimeter lens, so I need a fast shutter. A rule of thumb is twice your focal length. So if you're on a 200 millimeter lens, 4/100th of a second for your shutter. But I'm cheating that. I know at an 1/80th of a second, I'll have a nice sync with the strobe. I'm not going to push that. I'm going to just be very cautious as I handhold it. I know I'm going to lose some stuff to movement, but because of that strobe, that'll freeze my action as well. Sometimes a little bit of movement can look cool. I'm going to shoot on auto white balance because there's just too many color sources in this room. I've got fluorescence, I'm using my strobes, there's tungsten light sources. So I'm going to put my camera on auto white balance, which will allow me to shoot a little faster and just move quick. Because I'm shooting in RAW, I can go in later, play with that color balance to kind of fine tune the images that I like the best. Now we add the strobe light from the camera left, just slightly behind the subject, and it really changes everything in this image. It has a nice feel about it. It looks well lit, it seems interesting. It takes an average image and makes it far more powerful. If you up your exposure just a little bit, again it's that large, soft shoot-through umbrella with a strobe head that fills that whole light source, gives us a very soft light. When I'm shooting two people, I simply turn one of them into the light, and that creates a nice butterfly light on their face. And the person looking at the camera is in a nice Rembrandt. So you're looking into the shadow side of both of them, because the light is to your left. What I mean by shadow side is the darker side. That doesn't mean that it's a dark image. It can be very high key, but because I'm looking into the darker side, that's more interesting. This gives a wonderful light on their faces. I love this look. You take advantage of the room light, but add just a nice highlight, and that makes it easy to shoot anywhere in the room and it feels like you're at a window. Pick up that light and move it and shoot again. It's really a great way to work. While we were shooting there, I saw a small light box that they had in the corner that they put x-rays on. I thought, man, that's perfect. So we drug that out into the middle of the room, plugged it in, turned the room lights off. I exposed off from the light that was in the light box, and we got these wonderful shots of the kids looking at x-rays. So look for lighting motivated experiences. A lamp, like this softbox was really a gold mine. A light coming through a doorway. Something that makes a richly lit image kind of interesting and different from what you see normally. Photographing children can have its challenges, but I think it's really a lot of fun, and it's really worth the time and the effort. Dogs and kids, that's another story, but maybe we'll talk about that soon. So keep those cameras rolling, keep on clicking. Special thanks to Prestige Preschool Academy, which allowed us to share our commercial shoot with you today. Hi, this is JP Morgan. Today on the Slanted Lens, we're going to do a review about the new XP800. This is a Dynalite battery pack. It's made to be taken out on location so you can run your strobes, either monoblocks or pack-in heads, off from this as a power source. It really makes it so you don't have to carry generators. It's really a decent weight, it's about 12 pounds. It makes it so you can get hundreds of flashes off from a single battery. The battery is the bottom unit here, so you can have a separate battery that you can hook on, pop this off, put it on the next one, and continue going. So they're really nice in that way. Gives you the ability to not only run it as a battery unit, but if you take this off and you switch it around, it allows you to hook it up and now to run this directly to a car battery that'll give you power to this unit that again will power your strobes you're working on set. It'll do from 750 to 1400 watt second packs. If you have a 1600 watt second pack, it's just a little too much for this. It'll actually put it into overdrive, it'll just shut itself down. Just dial that back about a third and you'll be able to use these just fine. They're really ideal for Dynalight's 800 watt second packs, really perfect for this setup. Or any monoblocks, the new one by PhotoFlex called the Flex Flash. Perfect for one of these things. In fact, you can run 2 Flex Flashes off of one of these. I did it not too long ago. Very easy to run those 2 monoblocks off from a single battery power source. I just think they're a perfect power supply. They're lighter than a generator, they're quiet, they're just very portable. A lot of times I will tie this to the stand so that now this becomes a sandbag. This charges in about 3 hours, which is a good charge time. If you have 2 different batteries though, you can quickly change out the battery and use the next one. Generally speaking, if I'm using an 800 watt second pack, especially if I'm using like a 400 watt second Flex Flash, I can't exhaust one of these things in a shoot. It's going to be plenty of power to get me through the shoot. Even when I'm shooting hundreds of frames, it really gives me plenty of juice. So I think these really are a tremendous asset on set. It's the XP800. They run about $999, about $1,000, but really a great power supply when you're out on location. So check that out, Dynalight's new XP800. Hi, this is JP Morgan. This year for our holiday giveaway, we've got bags and tripods by Vanguard. Go to theslantedlens.com. Bags and tripods. There's thousands of dollars of equipment we're going to give away. Go to theslantedlens.com. There's several different ways to win, so go to theslantedlens.com. It's going to be a great holiday season.